What's up everybody, back again with another raid guide, and today we're taking a look at normal / heroic Lihuvim? Principal Architect. Keep in mind that this is PTR raid testing, so some things can change. So the Architect. 2-phase fight alternates between a boss phase and an intermission that spawns adds, which you'll carry into subsequent phase 1s. Now, the Architect's main mechanic is the unstable motes and deconstructing energy. During phase 1, boss targets a few players and a few seconds later they will spawn unstable motes underneath them. If a player moves over a mote, it activates and releases cosmic energy to the ground. Now for the deconstructing energy, it targets a random player and the active tank. Target takes a bunch of damage over time and upon expiration blows up, deals damage to anyone near them, but also clears any unstable motes within their circle. And you cannot use this to clear already active unstable motes, or rather the pools do not despawn. You also take around 200% more physical damage after you've blown up, so tanks needs to swap anytime they get this. Easiest way to do this was just to have players about to drop a mote move out together and loosely stack or spread, whatever you want to call it, so you don't overlap the motes and blow up each other, but you stay as stacked as possible so players targeted by deconstructing energy can slide on in there and remove that mote. Now it's fine if you miss 1 or 2 motes here and there when you clear, but you want as few up as possible, just to make things easier, because if there's motes up, people will get knocked into them or run into them, and as soon as you do, they drop their puddle, and eventually you'll run out of space, or raid is forced to run through puddles a lot, which is not great. But like I said, a few puddles or motes here and there isn't gonna kill you, hopefully. Now other than that, boss will also cast Cosmic Shift, which deals damage to everyone in the raid, but it also pushes you back. If this becomes an issue, you can have the raid stacked with their backs against the wall and boss close to the wall. Either way you want to do it, just make sure that you position yourself so you don't get knocked into an unstable mote when this happens. Now on top of this, boss also used a tank slapper called Resonance, which is a 3-part combo where boss will cast either Sundering Resonance or Kinetic Resonance. Now Sundering Resonance deals a ton of cosmic damage in a 12-yard radius around the active tank. This also increases physical damage taken, and Kinetic Resonance instead deals physical damage in a 12-yard radius and increases cosmic damage taken. Now the boss will never cast the same ability back to back, so easiest approach for tanks is just swapping after every smash. That way you'll never take a smash while debuffed. Now keep in mind that these slaps are AoE, so tanks needs to be spread during this, and melee needs to max range behind boss, so tanks can taunt swap without risk of blowing up melee. They get so salty if you do. While testing, this was active on normal, but in journal it says heroic only, which would make sense. And lastly, the Architect will cast Protoform Cascade, frontal cone that deals a ton of damage to any one hit, and you can sidestep this as a tank. Easy enough! But wait, there's more. Like I mentioned, there's adds. When boss reaches full energy, it will fly up and start its intermission. Now around the room there's 4 protoform forges that creates these automa adds. There's 3 different adds you can spawn on normal and 4 on heroic, and you can see which adds you're going to get before the intermission actually starts, as they are visible in each forge. Now the different kind of adds you face are Degeneration Automas, 8 small adds that degenerates random targets, dealing cosmic damage rapidly over 12 seconds, and they are CCable, so you can stun, grip, solar beam. Then there's Acquisition Automas, fixates on a random player and starts slapping away if it reaches them, explodes on death, dealing damage and knocking everyone within 40 yards far away. It also deals raid-wide cosmic damage every 2 seconds, and that damage is increased by 5% every time it pulsates, or cosmic damage. During testing you could crowd control it, but journal now says it's immune to crowd control, so gonna assume that's the case. Then we have the Guardian Automas, form sentries on the ground that will just attack nearby players. While testing, this was interruptible, but it doesn't say so in the journal. And on heroic and mythic you also get a Defense Matrix Automa, which puts up a huge barrier around it that reduces damage taken by automas inside the barrier by 50%, and it lasts for 30 seconds. Pro tip, this ad could be face tanked by a Brewmaster statue and ignored, just in case they don't fix that. So like I said, when the boss reaches full energy, it flies up into the air and starts channeling synthesize over like 15 seconds. During it, the raid takes a large amount of cosmic damage every 2 seconds, which ramps up. But if you're inside one of the forges, you take 90% less damage from it. And during this time, you can also DPS the adds inside the forges. So as soon as she starts her channel, you can attack whichever adds are in the forges. And at the end of the channel, any adds still alive in any of the forges spawn. And if you fail to kill one, it will spawn with full HP. Now on normal, there were 3 forges with adds per intermission, and on heroic and mythic, there are 4 forges with adds. But all of this could potentially change once it goes live. Now on top of this, every subsequent intermission, you'll get a different set of adds. So while testing normal, first and second set of adds was always one of each, but spawned in different forges. Third set of adds though were 2 acquisition automas and 1 pack of small degen automas. And on heroic with 4 forges, you can get even more annoying overlaps. So how do you deal with these adds? We always focus down the acquisition automas that fixates and blow up, as they are by far the most annoying. So as soon as intermission starts, everyone rushes to the forge with the acquisition automa and starts smacking away. Keep in mind that during this, the raid will take a ton of damage, so stay stacked, rotate healing cooldowns for every intermission. If you overkill this add by a lot, you could consider splitting your raid and nuke down 2 of the automas at the same time. Just keep in mind that you want to always make sure to kill at least 1. On heroic, when you have 4 forges or 4 adds, you're even more rewarded if you're able to take down 2 or more automas during the actual intermission, to avoid having to deal with free adds once they do spawn. So at the start of the intermission, during the synthesize channel, I recommend always prioritizing acquisition automas, then guardian automas, then defense matrix automas, and lastly the degen automas, as the defense matrix can be somewhat ignored and killed last or tanked by the side and ranges nukes it down. Degen automas are very easy to just AoE and stun interrupt. Guardian automas are pretty simple as well, just interrupt. So the real priority is always the acquisition automas, as they fixate, deal ticking raid damage, increases cosmic damage dealt, and lastly explodes on death with a 40-yard ranged knockback. So it's the only really annoying one out of the bunch. So intermission starts, you nuke down 1 or 2 adds inside the forges. When the remaining adds spawn, drag him close to the boss, as you can still DPS it to cleave unless it's a defense matrix automa, then of course you just want to tank it far away. Prioritize AoEing down and stunning the small degen automas if there are any, and make sure guardian automas are interrupted. When all the adds are dead and boss starts slapping you, phase 1 starts again, and a new set of adds are visible in the forges. Rinse, repeat! Now, as far as Bloodlust goes, it's kind of whatever, in the sense that you can either use it to just burn boss if you're behind on boss damage, or use it during one of the intermission if there's one where you're low on DPS cooldown, or that setup of add is hard for your raid, etc, etc. So wherever you feel you're struggling a bit, use Bloodlust there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And like I said, it's PTR, so some things can change, but at this point, I doubt it. Might just be minor changes. Now, if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments or become a patron and get access to the Stankie Discord, where you can find raid week chorus, notes, and a ton of helpful people for all your progression needs. And it's also the fastest way to get a hold of me. I'm also streaming all raid progression on Thursdays and Sundays, and I play with a Swedish guild, so streams will be a bit swinglish during progression now. Don't forget the usual YouTube stuff, subscribe, like, comment, ring that notification bell, and thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.